Hey, I didn't tell you I was doing this because, well, I didn't want to tell you that I was doing this because I kind of want to get back to this being a smaller room. And if you catch it on the replay, that's very cool for you. I'm happy for you. But also, I got a little bit of time before Major League Baseball starts up, and I want to get back to work. And I just got back from letting the dogs out because, well, girlfriend's got 2 dogs, and I want to look after the dogs, and she's got to work late because she works 7 days a week, just like me. But, hey, it's Thursday, and I've been making a bunch of videos here of late, man. We haven't really talked about what's going on. We haven't talked about the CBS Sports thing. We haven't talked about the radio show in a very long time. So I just kind of want to take some time to talk about what's going on and get to some college football, get some takes, get some good juices flowing. So if you're in and you're watching this live, I appreciate it. We'll check on you. Hey, check that out. Nat Roy, Clemson boy, what's good? Tim Glover, I see you. Brandon Rader. So, yeah, I'm going to keep trying to shout people out as we get going in the chat because that's a thing that I used to do on a very long time. So if I'm looking over here, don't take it personal. It's because, well, the monitor's over here. And if I'm not actually watching the monitor and trying to see what's going on, this could be actual bad for all of us. As many of you who are live stream veterans of the RJ Young YouTube channel will very much know and understand. And it's very nice to have someone whose job it is to do the monitoring of the radio show. That's nifty. I highly advise that if you ever have your own radio show, get a producer. Have a producer in the booth that's, messing with the knobs and the switch. Ooh, man, that was a little loud. That was a little off-putting. So, a couple things I want to talk about, all right, in particular. The first one was this thing with Austin Kendall and Jalen Hurts, okay? I find them oddly linked. I wrote about this on OUinsider.com because even going back to 2016, which is their recruiting class, that recruiting class ain't very good, right? Like, you're looking at the quarterbacks in there and you're going, this is a bad year for quarterbacks, man, because you go from, the overall 247 composite, you'll see Rashawn Gary's up there. He was a first-round pick last year, plays with the Packers. You'll see at number 2, not Greg Little, he's at 3 because he was drafted by the Carolina Panthers. At number 2, Dexter Lawrence, right? Goes to Clemson, wins national championship. He gets drafted in the first round. And then at number 4, you see Shea Patterson, who's on the thumbnail, right? Because he's still at Michigan playing college football. And with the 2016 class, you'll be able to put that away pretty quick when you're talking about who's good and who's not because the good ones are in the league. Nick Bosa, he's in 2016 class. He in the league, right? He getting paid, loot. And then you go through the quarterbacks. You got to go a while before you get to Dwayne Haskins, who's the only one of those guys inside the top 10 who has been drafted, especially in the first round, right? Now, you could say that Dwayne Haskins even got overdrafted, depending on who you want to talk to and how you want to talk about him. I don't think the Redskins are any good. I don't think Washington's going to be very good for any length of time. I don't care who they bring in to be the new head coach. I just don't think they're going to be very good. They ain't going to be good at all. But even so, he got drafted in the first round, so he got his paper. And then after that, you get to number 10, you'll see Jack Allison. You know what Jack Allison's doing right now? He's backing up Austin Kendall at West Virginia. You know where where Austin Kendall was? Number friggin' 12 in 2016 247 composite. You know what number 13 was? Jalen Hurts. So sometimes it's just about where you went and who allowed you to develop. Because we're talking about Jalen Hurts, who is 32-2 as a starting quarterback, but also got the opportunity to start as a true freshman at Alabama, where he was surrounded by nothing but killers. Offensively, defensively, that's what they did. He made lots of mistakes. He was allowed to make lots of mistakes. He was a starter in 2017. He lost the job in the national championship game at halftime. And even then, he was given every opportunity to win the job back. Everybody knows Tua Tagovailoa is just the better quarterback. And he went through the 2018 season admirably, ends up grad transfer in Oklahoma, which is bad for Austin Kendall. But if you go back, Austin Kendall was Lincoln Riley's first quarterback commit, like ever. And this is a year after Oklahoma didn't take a quarterback. So he's the first one in 2 years to be committed to Oklahoma. And Lincoln Riley was so excited to have him. He tweeted, boom, 704. Think about how antiquated and relic-ish that tweet must be now when we think about recruiting. So he comes to Oklahoma as the 2016 dude. He backs up Baker Mayfield, and you're thinking, this is the heir apparent. Then here comes Kyler Murray, right? Comes to Oklahoma, red shirts, and all of a sudden, Austin Kendall's not just backing up Baker Mayfield for another year. He's got this dude, Kyler Murray, who's redshirting, who's probably going to come in and compete with him for the job. Now, he was given some help when Chris Robinson showed his behind, ends up at Florida Atlantic. Okay, so that's one less guy to compete with. However, we all know Austin Kendall had the great misfortune of playing behind not one but two Heisman Trophy quarterbacks and not one but two number one overall draft picks. And when you thought he was going to be the dude in 2019, here's Lincoln Riley going to recruit Jalen Hurts to come over. And add insult to injury. You'll remember, he's only got one start prior to going to West Virginia. It's Baylor. Why did he start? Because Kyler Murray didn't remember to hit the nap button, right? His alarm clock didn't go off, so he's late to practice, so he didn't get to start. Kendall plays a series against Baylor, gets sat down. Murray leads Oklahoma in a rout over Baylor. You never hear from Kendall again except mop-up time. 3 years at Oklahoma, throws for 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? Just not very good, like 28 of 39 passing. Ends up at West Virginia, a place where Lincoln Riley didn't initially want him to go, and used this draconian Big 12 bylaw to try to restrict his movements before he relented because the optics were bad, and he says he personally felt bad for him because you should. You went into his living room in Waxhaw, North Carolina, and told his parents, hey, man, I'm going to develop you into an NFL caliber quarterback. And you can only do that if the kid is playing, and he wasn't. So I'm fascinated to see how this game goes, even though West Virginia ain't very good, because Kendall has been announced as a starter by Neil Brown. And they got to travel to Norman. They're going to play the number 5 team in the country after they got a huge win against Texas. Defense played lights out. We'll see if they keep that same energy at 11 a.m. in Norman. But these dudes are oddly linked. This got to be an awkward game for Lincoln Riley. And I'm sure he's going to be asked about it in the postgame. I'm going to that game. In large part, well, because of you. Way back when this was a much smaller room and there weren't as many people subscribed to the channel, there were folks like you who were watching things like this that appreciated it and liked it enough that other people started to notice what was going on over here, and good things have happened to me since. Talk about those stuff, but I want to check on this chat, see who's actually made it in here. Man, a lot of y'all just have that notification still clicked on. I appreciate that. That does mean a lot to me, because I'm not sure who's watching, when they're watching, how they're watching all the time. I just know that I upload. Let's see. Tardy B, there's a name. Topi, okay. Ryan Riddick was good. Back Mac, Brandon Smith, Clint Johnson, Jules Walker, Ronald Roberts, Doug Olson, some new names. Wayne Roberts in the house. Tim Glover, I see you, man. Gage, Black Stallion. Brian from the Longhorn State. All right. I appreciate you miss him. I'm not guaranteeing that this ever happens again, but if it does, I probably won't say anything. Let's see. Clemson boy, I saw you. Who do you think will win Cardinals versus the Giants? Wesley. Let's see what else we got here. Ricardo Garcia. Who's the next great QB out of Oklahoma? Spencer Rattler. Gotta be. Because Hurts, I'm still not convinced that dude's the first round draft pick. 3rd round right now. Feels a lot like Dak Prescott. Somebody's going to take him. Somebody's going to shape him. He's going to be their leader. But the next great quarterback is sitting on the bench right now. That dude can spin it. I have talked to a number of people who know from football who's like, dude's just different. Talked to a couple of NFL scouts. It's like, the better quarterback's on the bench. We understand why he's not playing, but the better quarterback's on the bench. Rattler is just that guy. And if he gets himself under control, and he understands what he is in this offense, he understands what it means to be quarterback at Oklahoma, he's going to be not just great, going to be awesome. Oh, that's my answer there. Doc, there. Hi everyone, take a second and hit the thumbs up button to show RJ you appreciate it. It's free. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. Doc has been a very cool influence on this channel, and as you can see, he's got the wrench there. So listen to the man. Landon was good. Let's see what we got. RG, you earned the love from the big boys. Yeah. I got called up there for a cup of coffee. CBS Sports. That was a lot of fun. Hello from Norman. All right, cool. Mama's killing the intro. Yes, she is. Robert Lane. Hey, Bubba. How you doing? Richard Kuntz in the house. I see you, fam. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to keep working. Bobby Stanley was good. Hazelwood, the next CeeDee Lamb, or Theo Weiss. I mean, you got to go with Hazelwood based on what you've seen so far, but I've always liked Theo Weiss. And I think he's ready. But apparently, they think Jaden Hazelwood is ready. We'll see. I think you can Either or there, man. Either or there. You're in good shape either way. Been watching daily since Step Mill. I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on Riley to the Cowboys rumors? I think it is going to be one of those time-honored traditions that we just have to keep going with. I heard Paul Feinbaum on OTL today say, hey, Lincoln Riley is very much going to be Dallas's next head coach next year, to which I'm going. So we're doing this again because we did this last year and we did it the year before last and we did it when he was offensive coordinator. We're going to keep doing it because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm not so conceited as to think that it's the best job in the world, especially for Lincoln Riley. The best job for Lincoln Riley today, he's got it. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to get all of this? They ain't going to pay him no $6 million a year to be the head coach at Dallas. Jerry's cheap. No? See. Any video games you've been playing lately, RJ? Destiny when I got time, but I've had no time, man. I've had zero time. Hey, appreciate that, Robert. Boomer Sooner. Man, you never asked like a question. Super chats are awesome. Back Mac, who is your top 4 teams? Right now, Ohio State, right? Very complete. LSU, stupid complete. Oklahoma looked complete. And then that 4th spot, I got Wisconsin because I look at the rankings right now. I say, who would I be afraid to play? Who just scares the hell out of me? Wisconsin should scare the hell out of everybody because they are the first defense to pitch 4 shutouts in their first 6 games since Oklahoma did it in 1967. And they're the first defense to do that in the Big Ten since the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. They run the ball, they play defense, they know who they are. There are 2 things that I value in college football above all else. Continuity in the coaching staff and identity of who you are as a football program and football team. They know who they are, right? Wisconsin is scary good. I can't wait to see Ohio State, Wisconsin play. That's going to be next week. That's going to be so much fun. And you know what? They're kicking at 11 a.m. Isn't that awesome? An 11 a.m. kick for one of the biggest games in college football this season. That's great, isn't it? I got Clemson at 5 for me because yes, they've looked shaky, but also the defense has been kind of good. Pass defense has been good. They're susceptible against the run. They play a lot of nickel. They play a lot of dime. I don't necessarily think that they'll hold up against somebody that can actually scheme and run against them, especially since we know that defensive line is basically still learning itself, kind of like Oklahoma's offensive line. It's a bunch of guys that are really talented but just haven't played a lot of football at this level. We'll see. Trevor Lawrence still throwing too many picks for me to like, but Travis Etienne is the dude. Justin Ross is great. T. Higgins is great. They can all play. So if we're going off what we've seen, Ohio State needs to be up there. LSU needs to be up there. Bama needs to be up there. Oklahoma needs to be up there. Wisconsin needs to be up there. I still got 6 teams in there that I really, really like. And there's a couple of teams that are still undefeated that I'm like, okay, they could make some noise. Minnesota can make some noise. Could. It's possible. Michigan still has a shot, although I don't trust them. Penn State, they get a big W against Michigan on Saturday night, and they're whiteout. They're going to be taken seriously because right now they occupy that undefeated spot that we put Auburn in a couple of weeks ago, and we're like, yeah, you're undefeated, but we don't really trust you. We'll see because I really, really, really like Noah Cain at running back, and I love their defense. Micah Parsons is a dude. Let's see. Sheldon Lamey. Hey, what do you think of 2020 class will be ranked at the end? 10 tops, probably more around 15, Sheldon. Let's see. Yo, what's up? RC3. Okay. Brandon. Okay. See you. Isaiah Simmons will be top 10 in the draft. Yeah, Isaiah's a dude. Yeah. They moved him down from safety to play linebacker because he's just that much bigger now. Love the new intro. Thank you, Mom Savage. Yeah, Mom's awesome. That was, again, she was sitting in this chair and she was doing some stuff. What else we got? Do you think Lee Morris will get back to form he was in last year? Well, it all depends on whether or not they want to throw him the ball. Right now, he's the only healthy tight end that they have outside of Austin Stogner. Grant Calcaterra ain't going to play this weekend. Lincoln Riley's doing this thing where he doesn't want to say why guys are injured or why they're sitting out. He just says that they're injured and they're out or they're questionable. Calcaterra is out. He won't say why. He won't say when he's coming back or how he's coming back. But we do know that Lee Morris is probably going to occupy a lot of those snaps. And Lee Morris had this great rapport with Kyler Murray. They played together at Allen, Texas, right? Allen High School. That ain't true of Jalen Hurts. And we've seen Jalen Hurts is a different kind of quarterback. Kyler Murray sees Trey Sermon out on a swing route and will throw him the ball, right? Jalen Hurts sees Trey Sermon out on a swing route and says, I can get that. It's just a different kind of quarterback. And I think since he's pulling the ball down more than Kyler might have last year and has more design runs, you're just not going to get that many opportunities to spread the ball around. Hence the reason that we're talking about Jalen Hurts and all these yards he's putting up because, still putting up 500, 600 yards of offense. It's just most of it's coming from him as opposed to spreading the ball around. It's just part of what we do. I'm trying to go through. If you're new to the chat, this is generally how it goes. I try to scroll through and find questions that I think are pertinent, not just to me, but to the group, and answer them, have a discussion about them, and we move from there. If you are mean or extra sassy, probably get put in timeout. It's a thing that happens. I stopped doing these for a while because I felt like I was just yelling at people, and the room got really, really big sometimes. So I'm not necessarily announcing them now. I think I'll just do them when I feel like doing them because the channel just kind of, you've been around. You understand what the channel looks like now as opposed to what it did before. Everyone hyped up. Bob Stoops going to the NFL. Don't listen to the noise. Riley's going to pull a Saban. Is not going to pull a Saban. Okay. Well, you don't need to all caps it, but your point is taken. Does Baylor have a chance to go 11-1? They absolutely do if they get past Oklahoma State because then it's just Texas and Oklahoma, right? They beat Iowa State, so that's out of the way. They should have lost Tech, but they won. They ought to beat Kansas State, and they did. Yeah, man, they could easily go 11-1. They got to get past Oklahoma State, though, because Oklahoma State is not only favored in playing at home, it's homecoming. And homecoming is a big deal in Stillwater. The question is, can Spencer Sanders hold on to the football? And can he not throw it to the guys wearing green? Because if those things happen, if he can just, hold on to football, take care of football, I can see Oklahoma State winning that game. Although, Baylor plays outstanding defense, right? James Lynch is a dude. Bravian Roy is a dude. But they're without Clay Johnston, who was the heart and soul of that defense and a great linebacker for them. On the other hand, you don't really have much to write home about if you're Oklahoma State playing defense outside of Malcolm Rodriguez, who has been a godsend at linebacker, guy they dropped down from safety. So I'm excited to see that game. It's going to be a really good game. I'm glad I get to watch it because it's at 3 and Oklahoma's game is at 11. Hey, I appreciate that, Denise LDD. I like my channel too. Do you think preseason rankings are what's wrong with college football? Because Alabama and Clemson are definitely not the top two teams in college football. Because LSU and Wisconsin are definitely top two teams in. I get that, but I also think recency bias and the bias of tradition is a problem in college football. Put it this way. Appalachian State is undefeated 5-0 and got a really good win against North Carolina, 34-31. The same North Carolina team that lost to Clemson by a point. So if you want to do the transitive thing, you'd be like, wait a second, Appalachian State played better against Clemson? Or against North Carolina than North Carolina did against Clemson? But nobody's really following Appalachian State. Nobody's following the Mountaineers because they're not a Power 5 team, right? So we're always going to give these traditionally awesome power programs the benefit of the doubt. Think about the coaches poll in Nebraska. Somehow Nebraska got voted into the top 25 after a 4-8 season last year. If their name is not Nebraska and you just looked at their resume blind, there's no way you put them in there. So I don't know that it's the preseason rankings. I do think it is the voters. I think the voters don't do a good enough job of doing their research all the time, knowing who's playing what, how many of the assistant coaches have returned, how many of the players have returned, and how much that return is production. I think there's a lot of changes that could go on in college football that are analytical. And I do things like myself and the dudes over at College Football Nerds who are really digging into the data, really digging into the X's and O's of the game, and trying to understand a much more scientific way of looking at college football to assess it. Because the thing about Clemson, for instance, is they don't get enough credit for how good they are in pass defense. Right now, they just played Florida State. Florida State's defense is trash, so you should run it up on them, right? But their pass defense in particular is really good. But Clemson had to earn everybody's respect by running through the ACC multiple times before we started talking about them as a national power. So you're going to have to do it consistently year after year before they start to take you seriously. And even then, May they not. We'll see, right? Because how do you feel about A&M? They haven't won anything this century, and yet people keep gassing them up. Why? Because they moved to the SEC. And they happen to luck into a difficult schedule for which they've done zero with. They didn't beat Bama. They didn't beat Auburn, an Auburn team that got skull dragged by Florida. You know, I mean, you keep looking at them and you keep going, what is it? They didn't beat Clemson. You're going, okay, so they're benefiting from the prestige of being in the SEC when the SEC is really about Alabama, Georgia, sometimes LSU, sometimes Florida, right? That's what it's been of late. That's what I think. RJ quietly Buki balled out Saturday. He kept contained, made the open field tackles when he needed, took away the swing passes and screens when they tried to set them up. Buki the dude. Buki my dude. Tom Herman calls buffets Jimmy Buffets. Let's see. Who has the best rival game in your opinion? OU and Texas. Yeah. OU and Texas. Ryan Broyles did not only get signed. I mean, he was going to end up at Dallas Renegades. So, you know. Oh, yeah. Got my parents Dallas Renegades season tickets because I am their favorite son. Do you think Landry Jones will succeed in the XFL? I don't see why not. I mean, between him and Jordan Ta'amu, yeah, those are the two best quarterbacks for me. I mean, Matt McGloin might end up being okay. I liked Luis Perez when he was out at the Alliance. Cardale Jones could end up being good, but I really like the kid from Ole Miss that's going to be at the Battlehawks. I like Jordan Ta'amu because he was great at Ole Miss and just didn't get a shot at the NFL. He's just 21. He's got tremendous upside, and I think they're going to put around him a pretty good, decent team. No, I do not think Oklahoma will have an XFL team. Robert Lane, any new D recruit news? So, no is the answer to that question, except Ethan Downs, for which I'm sure you're familiar with. Ethan Downs committed to Oklahoma, I want to say like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. No, a week ago. Number one recruit in the state of Oklahoma, wide side defensive end, depending on who you talk to, strong side defensive end, depending on who you talk to. I think he's going to develop into the kind of guy that LaRon Stokes is, that Jalen Redmond is, be an anchor on your defensive line, a tremendous leader. I really, really, really like his attitude. I love talking to him. He's got the right mentality. He wants to be at Oklahoma. And he, Brock Vandegrift, Cody Jackson are pillars of what I think is going to be an outstanding 2021 class. Other than that, Josh Eaton might flip from Texas to Oklahoma. We'll see. Cornerback. Since Ryan Watts decommitted and then committed to Ohio State earlier in the week. That's how it goes. We'll watch from there. Alfred Collins might give Oklahoma a good hard look, but we're still waiting on that. That's what I got so far, Robert. Wow. Jamie Earl, so proud of you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I guess I should tell that story. So what had happened was, like all things happen, you're just working, you got your head down, and somebody reaches out and says, hey, I came across the channel, I think you're pretty good. We want to give you a shot in New York to go on Time to Shine, CBS Sports Network. I was like, yeah, whatever, dude, whatever you want to do, and cool. So, got a flight, a hotel, flew up there. Wasn't really sure it was real until it started happening, and Adam is a great guy, really cool. Exchanged phone numbers, all that stuff. Told me I did a really good job. It felt good. Most of y'all told me it was good. And we talk college football, man. And most of y'all know I will talk college football till I am blue in the face. And no shade at Oklahoma because I love Oklahoma, but it was nice to answer some questions that didn't have anything to do with Oklahoma. Like, who's going to win Auburn and Florida? And I picked that game correctly, by the way, for the reasons that I thought I should pick it, right? And we could talk about, a little bit about OU Texas, what was coming up, talking about just how good Lincoln Riley was. It was decidedly a pro RJ segment, and it was a lot of fun. I got to wear a suit. I got to go to a different place that I've only been to once before. I got to eat some New York pizza, and I got to hear from all of you, and I got to call my moms. I got to call my girlfriend. I got to gush to them, and they got to gush to me, and I was exhausted. I was exhausted because I was just so excited. So, would never imagine that was a thing. Like I said, most of y'all I say most of y'all. Some of y'all been around since me holding up my phone, on the step mill, talking at it for 3 to 5 minutes about what's, in my head about OU football for the most part. And I know that a lot of people want to get back to that. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be like a live stream. It'll just be there one day. Because I did it once last year. So I understand. People like it. But I kind of like this. I like the simulcast radio feel. I like TV feel, right? Have some ideas for some other upgrades to the studio because we've upgraded the studio a couple of times in the last, we've only been doing this since 2017, September 2017. A lot has happened, man. A lot has happened. Yeah. Caleb Samples. What do you think of the upcoming offseason QB battle between Tanner and Spencer? I think it's going to go a lot like the one between Austin Kendall and Kyler Murray, to be honest with you, man. Caleb. I think that it's quite literally Spencer Rattler's job to lose. He's just the more talented quarterback. It's not to say Tanner Mordecai isn't talented. It is just to say that Spencer Rattler is more talented. Not unlike Kyler Murray and Austin Kendall. Austin Kendall could lead almost every other college football team in America. He just can't do it at Oklahoma because the guys in front of him are just that much better or have the coach's confidence in a way that he just doesn't. I think what I've seen of Rattler over the last 2 years, getting to know him, watching him sling it, seeing him live at the opening, seeing how he commanded the attention and leadership of guys that you already know about, like Jaden Hazelwood, Trajan Bridges, Theo Weiss, Jace McClellan. All of those dudes, Austin Stogner, looked to him to lead them. And I watched him lead them in a tournament back from an opening loss in a double elimination tournament to a championship. He's just that good. And if he can keep his head together and he can stay in this and he can put up the blinders on and just play some quarterback, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to do a lot of growing up. I think he's going to get himself under control. I think he's got sound parents. I think he's got sound and fundamental grounding beneath him. I think Lincoln Riley's a great guy to play for. He's going to be in your business. He's going to be in your chili. He's going to want to understand what it is that makes you tick, and he's going to draw up stuff that works for you. I think it's Rattler, man. I think Mordecai is either going to stick it out or step into the portal. We'll see. What else we got? Where's Robert Barnes? It's looking like a red shirt for Robert Barnes, man. It's looking like he's just not going to be a dude at safety. And after Delaire Turner-Yale having 10 tackles against Texas, and I contend that he's the weakest link on that starting 11, I don't really see a spot for him. You wanted somebody to come up and help Buki out, but they thought it was Chance Sylvia. It wasn't. They haven't really run Jeremiah Cordell out there. Woody Washington's probably going to redshirt. So it feels like Robert Barnes might use the redshirt now and try to get better for next year and figure out what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. But right now, it does not feel like Robert Barnes is going to be a meaningful contributor to this 2019 team. What else we got? How different would Tennessee be if Mike Gundy had taken the head coaching job? It's actually a really important and difficult question to answer because we only know what Mike Gundy's like at Oklahoma State. And quite frankly, the stuff that he's pulled at Oklahoma State, he could only pull at Oklahoma State, which is that he could only pull it at a place where he played quarterback and where he's been coaching for umpteen years. He just does stuff different. The way people talk about Mike Leach being eccentric is the way they should talk about Mike Gundy being eccentric. Because I think if he went to Tennessee and tried to do some of the stuff that he does at Oklahoma State, they would not put up with this. They would run him out. He'd probably get them W's, and they'd still run him out. I think that he's going to retire from Oklahoma State like most people do now, but I never thought that Tennessee was real. I thought Mike Leach to Tennessee was real, but John Curry managed to mess that up. I think it would be interesting to see. I think that he'd be able to get coaches that absolutely want to coach for him, and he would let those guys do his recruiting for him. And every once in a while, he's going to luck up into a kid from Alberta, Canada, who runs 10 seconds in the 100-meter dash that can absolutely fly at tailback. Chuba Hubbard, right? Or a kid like Mason Rudolph who wanted to go to LSU, coming out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, ends up at Oklahoma State. He's going to get those dudes. But do I think it would have gone as well as it has at Oklahoma State? Absolutely not. No, not at all. Juan, what's up? What do you hear about Caleb Kelly? is he eligible to use a medical redshirt and come back next year? I see his speed being really useful in this scheme. Caleb is actually doing like an internship with Sooner Sports right now. Matter of fact, you go to the Sooner Sports website, you can see him breaking down film and getting a taste of what it means to be in front of a microphone. And we know that there are three things that OU football players do. They go to the NFL, they sell insurance, and they perform sports media. Seems like he's getting a taste of that. But he is going to redshirt this year if he doesn't play. The hope was probably to get him back with 4 games left so you can use the redshirt rule to your advantage and still get him on the field for games like your last, maybe the last game of the season, conference championship, semifinal national championship, right? But next year, he could be back if he does not go to the NFL, which is still on the table. And I don't think it's what he's going to do, but it's on the table, right? So if you ask me today, I think he's on redshirt, and we'll see him in 2020. Thanks for the question there, Ron. RJ, do you think K9 and TD Lamb, let's see what you did there, are going to go to the draft or going to stay another year? They're definitely going to the NFL draft because both of those dudes are being projected as first-round picks. CD particularly, he could be the first wide receiver off the board. I talked to a couple of scouts that were like, yo, that dude could play tomorrow. He goes, and this was at Texas. That dude could play tomorrow in the NFL. And they met Saturday to Sunday. K9 is so elite athletically. His build is so awesome. And his ability to just use his body in space and how fast he is. Maybe he plays outside linebacker. Maybe he plays middle linebacker. Maybe he plays will. I think he's a Roquan Smith type, right? Because that's essentially what they've done with him. They swapped Deshaun White for the Mike position. They've said, hey, we're just going to use you as a trigger man, K9. You're not going to actually have to read and react. You have a key. If the running back flares, you go kill him. If the quarterback stays put, you go kill him. If somebody comes across your face, you go kill him. And that way you make him into a heat-seeking missile, and you've seen what that looks like. He is phenomenal in pursuit, just elite. So I think that he's absolutely going to go into the NFL if he gets a first-round grade back in December. Stephen Gordon. Been way too long, RJ. How are you doing? Man, I'm doing. As you can see, a lot has happened. I just decided to pull this out and do this because I was feeling froggy, Stephen. Don't know when I'm going to do it again. Probably not going to announce it. Probably just going to do it. So if you're here, you're here. And I appreciate you being here, Stephen. Long time friend of the channel. Cooper, or sell heat and air service. Yeah, and run up a high bill. Run up a high bill. Tell your dad I got some stuff to say about that. I am not happy about that. Let's see. Lincoln Riley should ignore the Dallas Cowboys hype and go to the Houston. What? Were you not listening? RJ, what is your personal top 5? Like football? Because I did that segment just a second ago. Like college football? Like what? Yeah, man. Hey, Riddick, we tried to get the Packers to draft Marquise Brown last year. They didn't want Hollywood. They wanted some dude named Valdez Scantling and Devontae Adams' turf toe. I don't know what they doing in Green Bay, dog. Let's see. What else got? Wisconsin versus Ohio State, pick 1 score prediction. Wisconsin. Like 24-20. Yeah. It might change next week, but right now I'm terrified of Wisconsin. Those boys pursue. They can get defensive touchdowns. They understand how to create turnovers. They call it their no-switch defense. I love this. Why do they call it no-switch defense in Wisconsin? Because there is no switch to turn on and turn off. There's only kill. There's only destroy everything. There's no switch. There's no we're getting up for this team. There's no hype. There's no nothing. There's no switch. There's just go. Man, I love what the Badgers are doing on defense, and I love Jim Leonhard. I think if his dream job wasn't to be a head coach at Wisconsin, he'd be the next Power 5 head coach looking. He knows what he's doing. He's got that walk-on spirit about him. He played in the league. He came back, dialed up this defense, and they're killing people. Check out Zach Braun. Renegades are my team, Sheldon. I bought my parents season tickets. This is non-negotiable. He's probably going to try to tell me about the Freedom League or something. What else got? Yeah, myself, I've been wondering what's been up with Marcus Hicks, too. He may be redshirting. He had a hamstring issue to start. Getting in the rotations hard this late in the season. But he could show up. Anything's possible. You know, he's still got his head in, and that's what's important. His head's in the game. Do you think Georgia can get it together? Yeah. I shamed them like everybody else, but Georgia's still my pick to win the SEC East. And they could beat Bama or LSU. It's that close. So, yeah, I mean, I could just as easily see them making the college football playoff and playing for a national championship again. Yeah, they're right there. They're right there. I've done the pay-for-play videos, dog. Don't really want to get into it right now. Love your live podcast. Hope this is not the last one. We'll see. I make no promises on this front. If you're here, enjoy being here. Who do you think will be OU? Answer that question. Answer that question. What do you think about LSU's defense? I think it's kind of porous, but I also think that that's just in the front seven, where they're not terrible by any means. They're good. They're elite on the back end. Derek Stingley is my favorite new cornerback, but he was my favorite coming out too. Because Dave Aranda was like, I wish I could have played him in the bowl game because I would have. And this is a guy that skipped the All-American Bowl so that he can enroll early and go through bowl game prep. And none of the guys on the LSU defense refer to Derek Stingley as a freshman. They're like, nah, man. He's at least a sophomore in his head and in ours. He's just that good. That's Grant Delpit saying that about them. And Grant Delpit was one of the best defensive backs in the country last year. They're good. Christian Fulton is good. They understand what good defense looks like, even if they let some points get scored. I like their defense. It's not a liability by any means. Let's see. Is Baylor or Bedlam bigger threat for OU as a loss? Bedlam. They can score. I'm not sure Baylor can score like that, man. I mean, at the very least, I know that Spencer Sanders, Tylen Wallace, and Chuba Hubbard are going to put up points. I also know that their defense is atrocious. So, there's that. Then again, I thought Texas could score. And I still think Texas can score. They were averaging 42 a game when they came in to play Oklahoma. They were held to 3 in the first half. So, there you go. Do you think Mississippi State can pull off the upset? Negative, Ghost Rider. Negative. No. You go ahead, though. You pick them. Then again, I mean, if you want to get froggy about it, I mean, it's about what you got at quarterback. And I don't think they got anything quarterback. I was high on Tommy Stevens to start the season. Not no more, you know? And I watched every bit of that Kansas State-Mississippi State game. Garrett Schrader ain't that dude, even when he getting helicoptered. From top to bottom, do you believe the SEC or the Big Ten is toughest conference? Well, the bottom of the Big Ten is trash. Rutgers and Illinois. The bottom of the SEC is what? Vandy and Ole Miss and or Kentucky or Mississippi State? Nah, man. That's an easy answer. It's the SEC. I hate how none of the commentators have any respect for OU. I'm a commentator. Any other NFL teams pick up Samaje Perine? I do not know. You can check OUinsider.com where we have a weekly feature about Sooners in the NFL. What else? Stephen Gord. We may or may not go out on yours. Who makes the playoff in your opinion? Today, if Oklahoma runs the table, they make the playoff. The winner of Ohio State-Wisconsin makes the playoff because they'll ostensibly play for it. They still might play for the Big Ten Championship. Got to go with Clemson because they're in a watered-down league, and I don't see anybody really challenge him. Although Louisville could do something and show everybody what they're made of this week. And then the winner of LSU, Alabama, perhaps Georgia. So if I got to narrow it to 4, let's go LSU, let's go Wisconsin, let's go Oklahoma, Clemson. Just the way that I think it might break today. But it's week 8. Anything's possible. Doc, got a question. Does Oklahoma have a major winner this year? Heisman, Butkus, Remington, Biletnikoff. Who's got the best chance? The best chance, I believe, today is the Heisman, because Hurts is getting all the publicity and he's got the sympathy vote, right? There are a lot of people that just love knowing Jalen Hurts exists. And if there is not a clear winner at the top, like if Joe Burrow just doesn't separate, or Justin Fields doesn't separate, or Tua Tagovailoa doesn't separate, Jalen Hurts will eat up all those votes for people that are going, I don't know who I'm going to pick, so I'm going to pick the feel-good story. Butkus Award, it's interesting, right? Because I thought Curtis Weaver was going to have just win this thing, and then he blew out his knee, and he's done for the season. That's Boise State linebacker, and he leads the country in sacks. You could also take a look at other dudes around, like Isaiah Simmons, who's going to be classified as a linebacker. But if Murray can continue to get these tackles for loss, I think you got a point. It's just that he's not getting the same amount of tackles as he did last year. But today, I think it would be Evan Weaver out of Cal. Evan Weaver has 84 tackles through 6 games. So he could, with the bowl game, break Luke Kuechly's record for single-season tackles with 193. And Cal is awesome defensively. So if you're watching, right, Evan Weaver is actually the best linebacker in college football today. But as we've seen, it helps tremendously to be on a better team. So there's that. Belindikoff Award, man, it's going to be tough to beat out a kid from Alabama this year, or Justin Ross. Whether it's Jerry Jeudy or Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith, all those guys are in play. You know how we feel about Justin Ross at Clemson. CeeDee's going to have better games, because even today, after the 10 catches, 171 yards, 3 touchdowns, Tylan Wallace still has the edge in receiving yards, even with the dude like Spencer Sanders throwing him passes. So it's a little bit thicker through the middle, but this is the loaded wide receiver class for 2020, right? So that's going to be difficult. Remington Award, crapshoot. It's about who these dudes really like, man. You know, and the Outland, I don't know. I don't know about the Outland. I want to say that Neville Gallimore can work his way into that conversation in a real way. I just don't know. So today, Doc, I got to go with the Heisman, although I would love to see a Butkus Award winner at Oklahoma be the 5th Butkus Award winner at Oklahoma. It's possible. It's possible. He just needs a little bit of help, meaning a 4 or 5 sack game would help him. Another 20 tackle game, like the 28 he had against Army, would help him. He just needs a signature game where he has put his stamp on that trophy against an opponent that everybody respects. RJ, who wins the Big 12? RJ, who the one team in the Big 12 do you even see have a chance to beat us? Iowa State. Today it's Baylor, Oklahoma State. That's it. Today it's Baylor, Oklahoma State. And that's one of the reasons, that is a game for which I am going to be locked in. I want to see that game. Let's see. Yeah. Thanks, Doc. RJ is by far the most. Oh, I appreciate that, Caden. Tylan Wallace or CeeDee Lamb. Whoever you don't pick, I'll pick. It's like that. Both of those cats can play. See my similarity between 2019 Clemson and 2014 Florida State? Yeah, I do. I see a lot of similarity between 90s Florida State and 2010s Clemson. Both carry the ACC. Both have single-digit losses over the last 5 years or in a 5-year stretch. Both are the only team that we can actually talk about nationally that makes sense. Yeah. The difference is Jameis Winston was a better quarterback in 2014 than Trevor Lawrence is in 2019, even though we know that Trevor Lawrence was every bit a better quarterback than Jameis Winston was in 2014, in 2018. Rachel, thank you. Who's your favorite OU player this season and why? Kenneth Murray Jr. Kenneth Murray Jr. Because you've heard me for 2 years tell everybody Kenneth Murray Jr. can play. And Kenneth Murray Jr. is the dude. And all this year has been is watching Kenneth Murray Jr. vindicate all of us who believed in him. They changed the scheme up. They changed the coordinators up. They got him to buy in, and they turned him into a heat-seeking missile. He plays mean. He plays fast. He's the heart and soul of the defense, and he is the kind of dude who will save your life. I don't know if you remember this, Rachel, but over the summer, Barry Jr. and his girlfriend Val were driving home from church Sunday morning. Highway 9 in Norman, right? We're just speed trap. But he saw this car swerving and end up on the other side of the road on the shoulder. So he pulls over where many of us would keep driving. And he sees a woman come flying out of the driver's side and another woman come flying out of the passenger side. And she looks unconscious. To him, he says she looked dead. And he quickly ascertained that the passenger and the driver were deaf. So he tells his girlfriend, call 911, and he starts to perform CPR. And he performed CPR in such a way that he helped to save her life. By the time the paramedics came there to take over, she was cool. He got in the car, drove away. He didn't tell his dad. He didn't tell anybody because that's just his way. He didn't want to tell anybody. He didn't need to tell anybody. He just did what he was supposed to do. That's my guy. That's my middle linebacker. That's who I want wearing these colors. Let's see. What else we got? All right, we are coming up on the start of the ALCS. I think it's gonna be good. Doc, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I appreciate you showing up. You got my back in here. It's one of the reasons that I really want to give you that wrench. And seriously, you just coming through to tell a joke every now and again in the comments lights me up. I appreciate it. You're always really informative. You ask good questions, and you keep this channel safe and clean. I appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody who showed up. I mean, it's like 152 people watching this, and I just decided to just kind of do it. And I'll just decide to kind of do it at some other point later. Maybe. We'll see. All right. Except for me, y'all have a good night. This is